and welcome to the first episode of The Podcast in the Woods.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Josh. We are a married couple from Ohio, which, obviously we like the movie The Cabin in the Woods. But, let's just say we live in rural Ohio, so
There's woods all around us.
This name is very fitting. We may as well be stuck in a cabin in the woods. We are, like I said, a married couple that lives in Ohio that enjoys movies. We're going to do this podcast each week and talk about 2 movies each time. Normally, we will each choose one. This first week, since it's the maiden voyage, the inaugural episode, we'll go with a couple of movies that we've just watched recently due to being shut in the house
due to the coronavirus.
Yes, if you're anything like us, you're getting a little stir crazy.
And we have nobody else to share our opinions with about movies. So you're welcome, the internet.
Well, yes, we'll be doing 2 movies. The first one we'll talk about today will be the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I believe it was a 2004 movie.
Directed by Zack Snyder, written by James Gunn off of a George Romero script.
Yes.
A remake of the 70s George Romero original. Not exactly directly connected to it. Not, no same characters, no same everything. It's just the generic idea of people trying to outlive a zombie pandemic in a mall.
And it is the beloved James Gunn from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. That's right. That's the right movies, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Those are the movies that everybody decided he was awesome, but this movie and Slither, a movie...
That's probably another movie we should do on this podcast.
Oh, we could definitely do that. You might like it. It's Nathan Fillion, Elizabeth Banks.
I like those names. Those are good names.
But, and then after that, we will talk about a big budget movie that released a while back and just hit HBO, and we finally just took the plunge and watched it, The Dark Phoenix. There's
a number of movies out there that we want to watch, but we go to great lengths not to spend money on watching them. And Dark Phoenix is one of them, for sure.
Although you did buy Dark Phoenix for your brother as a birthday present. So.
Yeah, and I will say that I did. We're not talking about it yet. I did consider buying it for us, but I didn't. And it's fine because it went on HBO.
And I don't know that I'll want to watch it again, but spoilers.
Okay, but it wasn't bad. Okay, also, just a disclaimer, these are just our opinions, and they're not a critique on anybody who likes the movies. Just everything you love and hold dear. Just kidding. It's just our opinions on the movies, and we're not qualified, I guess.
We've written movie reviews for a newspaper.
I guess so. But we're not qualified.
Yeah, we don't get we're journalists. Yes, we both work at a small.
We currently are journalists. Is a good way of putting it.
As long as journalism has money to survive in this pandemic, because like everything else.
I feel like you told me that somebody said that they worked at a small newspaper or whatever, and they were already on borrowed time, and that's a good way of putting it. Mm. We are currently already on borrowed time.
So yes, while everyone is afraid of a virus that kills people and spreads like wildfire, and we sit in the house afraid for our jobs,
a lot of people sit in their houses afraid for their jobs.
we will try to ease the burden by joking around about movies.
Yes, the majority of these comments are just jokes about the movies.
Yeah, you definitely do not have to share our opinions, but...
They have done things that we cannot do, which is make movies. Anyway, should we jump into the first movie?
Well, a fair warning also, we do own 2 dogs who are quarantined with us, and one of them is a nice, quiet little schnauzer, but he's blind and might bump into the table where our microphone is set up. And the other is a big white husky who likes to be part of conversations.
He has a lot of opinions of his own, and sometimes he feels the need to share them. So he might be a part of the conversation.
But yes, let's since we're in this quarantine with a pandemic raging outside, I felt it necessary to watch Dawn of the Dead. Just for a little catharsism.
That's what you want to call it.
Just, a lot of things about this remind me of bits of that movie. Like, how going to the grocery store feels just as dangerous, maybe. But we'll get to that.
I feel like for you, this wasn't more about catharsism. It was more about preparation. I feel like you were preparing yourself for the worst.
Just with less guns.
We have 0. Because of me, I hate them.
Not necessarily just because of you. We do have a lot of swords, though.
That is true.
Yes, we are nerds. We are married because of a shared love of Marvel movies.
Did we even mention that we were married?
I've mentioned it a few times.
Okay, good.
I may mention that a lot. But yes, we grew to be friends because of a shared love of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and just discussing those movies, and from there we grew a friendship more and more. The Friday the 13th movies may have played a role in there as well, but
those are the first movies that, right before we got together, I was binge watching the Friday the 13th movies because I wanted to talk to Josh and I wanted to make conversation, and they were okay.
we may or may not get to a few of those later on.
Oh, we should. Speaking of swords, though, all of the swords in the house are shoved into my closet because your family was staying with us and they had a small child. And I was insistent upon hiding all of the swords. So they're in my closet right now.
Probably not a bad idea since, she gets into stuff.
She was a very good child. I thought she was a good child. Anyway, so Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I'm a lifelong horror movie fan. I love the original Dawn of the Dead. I love just all of George Romero's zombie movies. And so, I also hate remakes a lot. I am not a fan of retelling stories that have already been told, especially with Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, things like that. But the way they did this remake, I felt like kind of excused them from that because they didn't try to redo anything. They just slapped the name on it for recognition and threw a bunch of people in the mall and said, "Here we go, it's a zombie movie."
Huh. Yeah, I've never seen the original. I've only seen the off-brand movie Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, that's a very different kind of zombie movie.
True.
But yes, this one is definitely the traditional, not traditional because the zombies are fast, which kind of grates on my nerves also as a
They're not super fast.
horror traditionalist.
They're a lot stronger than I would expect zombies to be.
Well, dead things don't move fast. Or at all.
They shouldn't move at all.
If anything, they would shamble because they're falling apart. So these are more of an infected disease type thing, and then zombies, although their bites do kill people and bring them back to life. So, it's semantics. Call it what you will. But
give them a synopsis.
One thing just the general synopsis of the whole movie.
Yeah, I guess you've already given them a synopsis. It's a zombie movie, and they go to a mall to survive.
Yep, that's the entire plot. And at some point, they try to leave at the mall.
Maybe they shouldn't.
Maybe they should have just stayed quarantined.
Anyway, where do you want to start?
Well, I feel like this was one of the first times in zombie movies where you really get to see the outbreak happening from the beginning.
True.
And I really enjoyed that part of the movie a lot, even if it is just, the first 10 minutes.
And then it starts off with Anna. Do you want to talk about Anna?
We see the main character of the movie, Anna. She works in a hospital. There's little whispers here and there about some type of infection and people getting bitten, and little hints that something is going on in the background, but they just all fly over her head.
When do I jump in with my rant about Anna?
Here in a minute.
Okay, you keep talking, then I will jump into my rant about her decision making.
She leaves her job, heads home to her husband, talks to a little neighbor girl on the street, and the whole time, the whole drive home, she ignores the news on the radio. She gets home, chats with her husband a little bit. They ignore the news once they're there, and they get in the shower, pass out, and then the next day everything is crazy. So pay attention to the news, people.
Well, I can forgive a lot of people for not listening to the news on the radio because I don't listen to the radio anymore. Although I guess I have constant information overload from Twitter, but
that is true. Yeah, if she would have been checking her Twitter feed all day, maybe she would have been fine.
Twitter account.
But yeah, and this would be where her decision making is a little suspect, because that little neighbor girl the next morning is infected
and is in their house, you guys. She just is randomly in the house. I don't trust. Okay, even though she's a child, I don't trust anybody who just randomly shows up inside of my house, in the morning or ever.
Did they lock the doors at night?
They should.
I mean,
lock your doors.
They live in this idyllic little suburban area,
care.
But
lock your doors.
Yep. Say it. But this little girl, she's in the house. Her husband wakes up first and goes to see what's up because the little girl's obviously not well. And, you can't really fault Anna for that.
No.
She basically,
I have other faults for her.
She opens her eyes first thing in the morning and sees a child ripping her husband's neck open with her mouth. So...
if you're looking for movies to watch but you don't like people eating other people, this is not the movie.
Yeah, this movie is very bloody. And right from the beginning, too. It does not waste time.
True.
But, yeah.
Is this where I should jump in with a critique?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let me tell you about Anna and her husband. Okay, so her husband dies. Spoiler alert. He's not in the movie for very long, so it's not that big of a tragedy for you. Anyway, so her husband dies and then comes back to life as a zombie. She doesn't know what zombies are yet, so she's like, is this cool? Is this not cool? But he starts attacking her and just making a mess of the house, and she locks herself in the bathroom to escape him. And that's where my first big critique about her comes, is she pauses to see if, because he quiets down a little bit, so she pauses her escape plan to see what is going on with him. Her
escape plan that doesn't involve unlocking the window before trying to force it open.
Yeah, she's trying to. You see her struggling with the window, and it's locked. Just unlock it. And so she pauses, and she. Oh wait, that's our dog. Do you have an opinion, Ghost, about Anna yet?
You can keep going, and I will try to keep him calm.
He's fine. He's so cute. Anyway, so she pauses, and my thing is, another thing we are doing right now is we are also binge watching The Office, and I like to compare Anna to Pam Beasley from The Office, who is a receptionist / feature salesperson on The Office. And there's this, in the beginning of the series, the big, plot overthrow thing is the love story between her and Jim, another salesman, and Roy Anderson, she is occasionally engaged to. And so at one point she gets back together with Roy, and he has a violent outburst. And you know what she does? You know what Pam does? She leaves and she doesn't pause. Like he's having a violent outburst, and she just leaves. She tells Roy that she kissed Jim when they were still together, and he throws a glass against a wall. Let's say a wall. I don't really remember. And then she just gets up and leaves. And you know what Anna does? Anna, when her husband is trying to eat her, she pauses frequently to see what that's all about. To see if he's okay. He's not okay. He's attacking you. He's trying to eat you. So she pauses there when she's trying to escape. And then she eventually gets into her car, and she's just driving to safety. And she pauses again just to see what's going on. Actually, no, she also pauses before that again to see what's going on when she escapes the house before she gets into the car. She pauses to talk to her neighbor. And then her neighbor, like, points a gun at her. And then she finally gets into her car.
And eventually just gets run over by an ambulance. And
wait, she gets run over? Oh, wait, no, her neighbor
yeah, the neighbor does.
Her neighbor gets run over by... But then she pauses to see, like, a bunch of zombies eating people on a bus, and I'm like, just drive. It's fine. You can look at it later.
Yeah, every time she tries to just catch her breath, like, there's just so much chaos going on, and, like, every once in a while she just needs to take a minute, and then the world happens again. And that chaos is not slowing down for anybody.
I get the whole need to take a breath, but if there's people eating other people, just don't stop.
Yeah, eventually, like, someone tries to steal her car. You know, we see all this...
That guy was a jerk, too, by the way. He could have just gotten into the back seat and been like, save me.
Although she was a jerk earlier because someone asked her for help and she just kept going.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is a situation where you can't really stop to help other people because you just don't know who's a zombie and who's not.
Like this.
But this dude straight up, there was a random, when she was driving and she stopped for like the third time or whatever to see what was going on. This dude tried to like steal her car by like ripping her out of the car seat or whatever, and rude.
I mean, it's everyone for themselves at this point, and we're going to see like all the different kinds of terrible people you can have in a zombie apocalypse. Well, maybe not all. They didn't hit on everything in this movie, but they did a lot. We've got the moron who tries to hide a bite from the rest of the group. Granted, it's not on himself, it's on his pregnant wife.
Oh, yeah. So after the third time where she pauses and she gets to, her car almost gets stolen. She drives and crashes the car in the woods. So she wasted her entire car.
Luckily, she's found by a cop who's played by Ving Rhames, who is awesome. And then they meet 3 other survivors, and they decide they're going to the mall. And so everybody huddles into the mall, and just, you know, the mall begins to collect survivors.
Right.
And they start to form like a little zombie survival community inside the mall, which is a good place to ride out. You got your supplies everywhere.
I mean, if the restaurants are stocked up, which in this scenario, I guess they are. I mean, in this day and age, there's not a lot of malls that might be completely stocked up.
There's a lot of there's a lot of little side stories to go through, but we don't really need to hit everything.
We do need to hit this one side story, though. It's not really a side story. It's this: when they first get to the mall, there's a group. They are a part of a group of 5, and they encounter a group of security guards at the mall, and then the security guards don't want them there. And maybe I kind of understand, because they don't want them eating their supplies.
Well, yeah, it's just these 3 douchebags. At one point, like, once they settle on the fact that, yes, they're going to stay in the mall also, they're going to be allowed to stay also, the security guards lock them in a store because they, quote, don't want them going around and stealing shit.
Which
because that matters.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the world as they know it is done. Like, I didn't quite get why they were being so hard on these new people.
Well, I mean, maybe they wanted those supplies for themselves, but stealing things at that point, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you're not like you're basically all you have to do now is survive and find a way to do it.
I guess they just hadn't quite accepted the fact that their life as they knew it was over. Mm-hmm. Like the world was over, and maybe that's why. But I just didn't get why they held those other people captive.
Well, and eventually, our main party turns the tables on the security guards, locks the two worst of them up, and although CJ he gets better.
Is that the main douchebag?
Yeah, he takes the time in while they're locked up to reflect and grow as a person, and becomes one of the better characters in the movie by the end. But
Ish, I'm gonna throw Ish in there.
But yeah,
he's fine.
They turn the tables, they take over the mall, they rescue some more survivors.
Right. There's like another group of survivors who come in a box truck of some sort. They back into the mall.
Yeah, CJ, his whole thing was he didn't want to let the wrong people in.
Well, yeah, which would be like people who were infected.
Like the lady in the wheelbarrow.
Yeah. I mean,
who was very clearly infected and going to die.
They handle it okay. After the power dynamic shift, and then like the group with Anna and the cop, and then the other three people, when they're in charge, they allow these new people to come into the mall who had just recently escaped from another place that they believe to be a safe spot. And then they bring news that most of the safe spots are kind of done for.
Which, throws Ving Rhames' cop character for a loop, because his whole goal was to go find his brother at a fort nearby, and they came from there, and they're like, no, everyone there is dead. Yeah. And so Ving Rhames eventually befriends the man on the roof of the ammo store across the street. He becomes kind of his like pseudo brother, as they share messages on whitewash boards.
Yeah. I like how one person said that he might as well be on the moon, though, because even though he's across the street, there's a sea of zombies outside that are just waiting for somebody to step outside so they can eat them. Which these zombies clearly aren't smart. Well, I mean, they're zombies, but like there were so many more zombies and there were people to eat, but they're all waiting for these like.
They want to get their scraps.
Yeah, the proportions would not have been equal among the meals. So where are we at? Oh, we're at the second group of people who come to the mall for safety, and the security guards have been overthrown.
Yeah, and eventually, everything. You see a montage of them just kind of going a little stir crazy, being stuck inside. And,
well, life is not bad for them, and they don't realize that.
Eventually, though, the power goes out while the one pregnant woman who was bitten is giving birth, and she's full-blown zombie at this point and tied to a bed. Yeah. And her husband is just lost his mind. His one goal is to have her have this baby, and everything goes wrong. Somebody witnesses the birth going on, like one of the old ladies from that second group. Yeah. And they have a shootout. Both of them end up dead. The wife ends up dead. The only one that's still alive is the baby, which is a zombie baby. Yeah,
of that shootout, there's the zombie baby mama's dead. The boyfriend baby daddy, are they married? I don't know. The boyfriend baby daddy is dead. The old lady who went to check on them is dead. And then all that's left is alive is the baby. And did you say?
Yep, it is a zombie baby.
It is a zombie baby.
So they have to kill it too, and now everybody in the place is sad.
I want to interject, though, that I have the very unpopular opinion that they should have kept the zombie baby alive as a pet, just to see what would happen.
Yeah, I don't know that they could have trained it to be better than just.
You don't know. They're pretty dumb, like I said earlier.
Or maybe it wouldn't have even aged. Maybe it would have just decomposed.
Maybe he would have held the secret to eternal life, and they killed him. It would have been easy to control a baby zombie instead of like a human zombie.
Well, and this is to the part where I get what they were trying to say, but I just don't buy it. Everybody's really bummed, and they're like, they feel like being trapped in the mall and waiting to die is a fate worse than death.
Oh, I have thoughts about this too.
Being alive is, even in this situation, I would argue, is not worse than being dead.
They just had a really bad day, and they let it get to them. And they should have just, like, taken a beat and waited a couple of days.
But no, they concoct this, like, crazy idea to get one of the new douchebags, Steve. He's got a boat. They want to go to an island that maybe or maybe not, like, doesn't have that many people on it.
Yeah, Steve is the guy who plays the dad on Modern Family, and if you've ever seen Modern Family, I would recommend not watching Dawn of the Dead, because it will ruin the dad from Modern Family, because he's just the sweetest person on Modern Family.
He's a likable dope on that show. On this show, he is a superficial...
Human garbage bag. He's human garbage.
Superficial, selfish prick.
He's garbage. Anyway, where are we at in this? Oh, well, I want to interject my thoughts, though, about why they should not have left the mall. Because obviously, one, it's just not a good idea to leave because they have supplies, they know they're like secure, they know the situation, and then also they really haven't been there that long. Maybe a few months at most. Mm-hmm. What if they had just waited out the winter and seen what the winter had done? I guess I don't really know where in the United States this mall is.
Milwaukee.
See, doesn't Milwaukee have a winter?
Oh, yeah.
They should have just seen what the winter did to the zombies. Maybe it would have slowed the zombies down, and then they could have escaped after that to see. And if this island supposedly exists where it's untouched by zombies, it would still be untouched by zombies at that point. At this point, but I feel like the zombies being frozen to death possibly would have helped their situation.
Just a bit.
But they're impatient, they had a really bad day, and they just let it get to them.
And that's where they decide, they need to go pick up the gun store owner, Andy, and get supplies from him as well. And, which means crossing the street. Yeah.
And it goes so horribly, I can't believe that they still decide to leave the mall. Like, going across the street is just rough enough. Why would they try to go all the way across town to the marina?
Well, and this scene is like the reason why I wanted to watch the movie, because, having at the earlier part of the quarantine, like, gone out to the grocery store with Sam, I felt very much like this. Like, you're going into this alien world where everything just wants you dead. Like, danger... Well, in our situation, the danger could possibly be anywhere. We have no idea.
Well, the problem... I kind of disagree, because, like... In the Dawn of the Dead movie, you can clearly see what the threat is. I think the problem is right now is we have a lot of anxiety about the coronavirus, but we can't see it. It's hard to see who might be a carrier, and so that causes a lot of anxiety. Like, anything at all possibly could be a threat, but you just can't see it.
And even if you do contract it, it's 2 weeks before you find out. So
it's 2 weeks before you may or may not have symptoms. Like, and only the sickest of the sick in Ohio are really getting tested. Like, there's just not enough to go around.
So yeah, I mean, like, it's just this, like, just anxiety all of the time over the smallest of things.
Yeah.
Like, the outside world is contaminated. and it just reminded me of this, where when they leave the mall, the outside world is just...
danger.
Nothing but danger.
True, yeah.
But they do, Andy's dead. Andy.
Yeah, they get across the street after... So, at one point, they try to feed Andy by sending over food via a dog, which, if you think that's a dumb idea, let me tell you, you're right. It's a stupid idea.
Yeah, they they bring up that the zombies aren't interested in the dogs or animals.
Why are they not interested in animals? They're stupid. Can they tell the difference?
They're not interested in that meat. They just want those humans.
I don't get it. It's dumb.
But yeah, so I'm on board though with the not like putting a dog in danger, even if it's not in danger.
Right, and it's dumb. And then they try to get the food across the street to Andy in the gun store.
Who gets bitten in the process.
Immediately. He gets bitten immediately. Like, how did they not see this coming? They should have tried... it's a mall. Have they not created drones in 2004?
I don't think drones were a big thing in 2004 now. They nowadays they could definitely just airlift a package over to them.
Or like they should have thought about maybe the power lines and created like a zip line of some sort. I don't know. They go to dog and it's dumb and it fails very fast. And then the dog owner who is in the mall is like, my dog. I need to save my dog.
Now,
and so she drives the box truck across the street. Why didn't they just drive the box? If they were going to waste the box truck like she did, they should just done that in the first place.
The most useless character in the movie.
Well, not...
She's been through a lot. She loses her dad in a dramatic scene earlier in the movie. She's lost everything. She's
not
like
a zero-sum character.
Desperately attached to this dog.
I guess she is a zero-sum character.
Yeah,
she's not a negative character.
Yeah, Steve goes negative.
Steve, the crappy dad from Modern Family, is negative points.
Yeah, Nicole is just a problem. She just doesn't add anything to the group and like causes this problem
by going after her dog, which I get. I would do it. I would be the worst. I would go after my dog. Because why would I let somebody use my dog in the first place?
They lose a lot of people on the way back too.
Yeah,
and Steve had to do was hold the door open for them when they got back.
Yeah.
And nope. He's not there. He can't even do that small part.
Yeah, so they go back. Andy's a zombie. They retrieve the dog owner and the dog, and they come back to the mall. And Steve was supposed to hold the door open.
Yeah.
That's all he had to do, and then he
had one job, man.
He couldn't even do it. He just is
and because of this, the mall gets overrun by zombies, which forces their hand. They have to take their like Mad Max reinforced trucks, parking shuttle things
out a couple days before they were planning.
So, and at this point, it's just a race through the city of zombies to the boat, and they get there, they lose even more people. Thank goodness they lose Steve. They should have just executed him earlier anyway. Just for being...
You have been voted off the mall.
But, in the end, it's just 4 people that make it to the boat. It's Anna and Ving Rhames and the useless Nicole girl and her dopey security guard boyfriend.
Does the dog make it?
Oh, the dog makes it too.
He's the one I care about the most. Oh, that's right, because when they make it, they get on the boat, they take the boat to a random island.
Yep, and we get an MCU post-credits type scene.
Yeah.
Where, guess what? The island is...
overrun by zombies.
And they're toast.
And they're dead. If they just stayed in quarantine in the mall for a little while longer... they could have made it.
Yep. The lesson of this movie is you break quarantine, you die.
Just like ration what you have when you're in quarantine and you're surrounded by zombies in a mall. And don't follow your irrational feelings to try and escape.
Oh, but yeah, I liked a lot of the character work that was done in this movie. A lot of the shitty ones are shitty. The good ones are good. You've got some of them that go through a growth arc, and
they're just all dumb though. This is
like any horror movie. Everybody just makes bad decisions.
I would like to go back to my original comparing Anna to Pam Beesly. Pam Beesly would survive a zombie apocalypse, and Anna clearly does not. So we should do a zombie apocalypse movie of The Office.
Oh man, that would be fun.
Who do you think on The Office would survive a zombie apocalypse?
Well, Pam.
Pam.
I don't think Jim would make it because he didn't make it through The Quiet Place.
Oh yeah. Well, I can't remember that movie that much. Did. He sacrifices himself for his family.
Yep.
So at some point he would sacrifice himself for Pam Beesly. I think Michael Scott. Oh, would he survive?
Oh God, no.
I feel like
Dwight either.
I think Dwight would.
Oh no, he would not.
I feel like he would.
He's so confident that he would be able to make it through. He's that dude that.
But he's so resourceful. I feel like.
But he's also incredibly dumb.
I feel like whatever situation he would get into, he would just spin it.
He's that guy. We all know that guy who wants the zombie apocalypse to happen, and he's just like he's seen every zombie movie. He's got an arsenal of guns. He's like, oh yeah, I'm ready for this. He would die the first fucking day.
I don't know. I make the argument that he's so resourceful, he would make it. And then I feel like Michael Scott would just stumble his way into continued existence. Like, he would leech off of every other character living.
That's possible. That'd be bad writing, but also I could see it happening.
Writing if they can spin it into a believable arc for him to survive to the end. And then obviously I think other people, Angela, Oscar, I think they would survive. No, maybe not Angela. Oscar would survive, I think. Kevin would not.
No. Stanley would not.
Just doing his crossword puzzle as he's getting eaten.
Toby would not.
Oh, Toby. What other characters are there? Andy. Is it Dwight? No, Andy Dwyer's from Parks and Rec. My bad.
No, there's Andy, though, the Ed Helms character, who would not make it.
He would have a anger management problem. And then get eaten by a zombie.
So, yeah, I mean, Dawn of the Dead was a good cathartic experience for, being locked in our homes.
All right, and for our second movie, we are talking about Dark Phoenix, the 2019 film about the X-Men characters, and it's in the universe of the what's the X-Men First Class universe?
Yeah, it's just another Sony X-Men movie,
but it's the series of redos and not the original X-Men movies.
Yeah, I think. Well, thanks to Days of Future Past, they did kind of connect the series a little bit.
And that's the only one I liked was Days of Future Past.
I still like First Class the most.
I didn't really like it that much. I definitely did not like Apocalypse. I didn't. Oh. Spoiler alert. I only kind of like Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix has some things going for it.
It has good things, but I just feel like they waste Magneto. I feel like a lot of these movies and the redos of X-Men have wasted Magneto.
And that's why I kind of like First Class the most, because Michael Fassbender was really good in that movie.
True.
And he's really good in Days of Future Past also.
And then in Apocalypse and in Dark Phoenix, they try to make him like mostly good, sort of good. He's like working for the good team. Well,
in Apocalypse, that movie was just ruined by the bad guy, which
the boring bad.
Which we have another bad guy here too in Dark Phoenix.
Do we though?
Just bad as in like shoddy quality. That's the worst part of Dark Phoenix is the bad guy to me. It was just Jessica Chastain has nothing to do. I don't know what their point was.
Let's give a synopsis for if you haven't seen Dark Phoenix. It's so we're following X-Men, and then it's the X-Men group, and it starts off with they go to space for some reason.
They've got to save a space shuttle, and Jean Grey absorbs some big like energy thing out of nowhere.
Yeah, they're saving astronauts, and then like she, like you said, absorbs something in space that is glowing and destroying the astronaut spaceship. they're on a different spaceship, but this original spaceship is getting destroyed by the thing that goes into Jean Grey's body.
Yeah, this is based on like one of the really famous like comic book storylines from back in the day, and after watching this movie, I question how this storyline became so famous and popular.
I guess like I haven't read the comic book series about the Phoenix having to do with Jean Grey.
Yeah, this was
in the third X-Men movie, where they already did this story called The Last Stand, and it was in 2006. They already did the story. It wasn't, she didn't absorb something, she already had it in her, and it was this dissociative identity in her. Like, it was already a part of her. But in Dark Phoenix, it's something in space that she absorbs. And in both movies, Dr. X, Xavier, he, like, warps Jean Grey's mind. Or at least we find out that he has been messing with her mind to suppress things about her past or her identity. And it's causing issues.
I mean, you know,
it's not helping the situation.
She killed her mother. And, you know,
Okay, in this one, I guess I can't remember in the original one, but in Dark Phoenix, it's not her fault that her mom died.
She causes a car accident because she doesn't really comprehend that she has these powers.
It's not her fault that her mom died. Like, she causes an accident in which her mom dies. And I guess it's...
And Charles hides this fact from her entire life. And of course it comes out during the events of this movie.
And of course she feels that this is the best time for her to confront her father who abandoned her. Maybe she should have waited.
Eventually this leads to her killing one of her friends.
Right. So just as a quick synopsis, she absorbs the thing from space. And then after that, I'm not quite sure what happens. The story's kind of slow. But we fast forward to her, like, her new powers help her realize that there's some things in her brain that have been suppressed, including who her father is and the fact that he himself is still alive. Because she thought that he had died in that car accident, too. At least that was my assumption, is she believed that her father had also died, when actually her father had survived, but had abandoned her.
Yeah, literally just gives her to Professor Xavier. Like, I don't know how to deal with this. Granted, you know, Professor Xavier does. He's doing the right thing here.
The thing is, though, is he doesn't have to... Yes, he can send his daughter to Dr. X's school, but he could, like, visit her.
Yeah, there's that.
He could welcome her home for holidays. He could send her letters. He doesn't have to pretend to be dead.
Yeah, and, you know, obviously he blames her for, you know, the death of his wife, which, not gonna lie, I'd have a hard time with that also.
Fault. She's a child. She didn't know what was going on. Like, she caused an accident. Lots of people cause accidents and people die. And
well, he couldn't deal with his grief. He felt like he had to run away from it all and just, like, remove himself from it.
Yeah, and so in the midst of her getting these new powers that she absorbed from space, she figures out her father is still alive, and she goes and confronts him, and that's a very emotional experience for her because her father is alive. And so then, like, the other X-Men come to retrieve her and get her, and because they want to help her, but she's got a lot of emotions, she's got a lot of stronger powers that she didn't have before, and when the X-Men confront her, she accidentally kills Mystique.
Which, you know, Jennifer Lawrence needed an out from the series.
Yeah.
She'd gotten a little too big for this at that point, so...
She probably didn't want to be in those skin-tight blue suits anymore.
She was definitely phoning her performance in this. You could tell.
Yeah.
Granted, she wasn't given much material to work with in this one.
Yeah, well, I think they wanted to help her on the way out. Which, why would they need to give her an out? Do we really think there's going to be another movie after this? That is just my personal opinion, but...
Well, I mean, at this point, they should just go back to the MCU where they belong in the first place.
Yes, they should go back to the MCU.
Because they have writers that do the job.
Well, it's like I feel like this could have been a good movie if they had just reworked it a bit, because here, like at some point during this movie, the plots flip, and all of a sudden we just forget about her dealing with the trauma of her father and her past, and then all of a sudden it's about these aliens from space who want Jean Grey to help. And I don't even know what their end game is. I can't remember. Their
motivations are so poorly written. Their characters are
very
just
unclear.
I mean, even if it wasn't unclear to start with, it was uninteresting. Also, I didn't want to find out. I didn't care what they wanted.
It could have been interesting if they had done it better. Jessica Chastain's character was one of these mysterious aliens from space who either inhabit humans' bodies or they can mimic human bodies, kind of like Skrulls maybe. But they're not Skrulls for some reason.
Yeah, Fox couldn't get the money for the rights to those, evidently, just like the MCU can't get the rights to the X-Men from Sony.
But these mysterious aliens, I don't even remember if they had a name.
I don't remember hearing it.
But for some reason they want Jean Grey, or they at least want her powers, because I don't know if it's like, if they're alluding to the powers are being as an Infinity Stone, because they say that the powers in her were from a power that created the universe and destroyed their home world. And for some reason, they sought Jean Grey out, and now they're inside of her. And for some reason, Jean Grey is able to survive holding this power. But, like, if, they're a part of the Marvel Universe, so shouldn't that power be an Infinity Stone if it's what created the universe?
A lot of writers throughout the years have come up with their own, like, creating the universe things, so... And
there's just a list, like, where did the ranking does this fall?
Then we're digging into the comic book canon, which is just that's a swear word at this point.
True. Like, I guess I should think of this as its own standalone, but they don't really go into much depth about what this power is that's inside of Jean Grey. They don't talk about what their home planet is at all, beyond saying that this power destroyed it, and they don't talk about their end game, which I assume is to create other worlds. They're
basically going to take over the Earth and turn it into their new home world and get rid of all the people, which blah.
It's
yeah.
They should have put more thought into it.
We take a famous comic book series like, say, the Infinity Gauntlet, and you see what the MCU did with that. Yeah, they don't do exactly the same thing in the movie Infinity War, but I mean, they do such a good job with Thanos' motivation and just him as a character. Like, you buy what he's doing, like that he wants what he wants. He's really complex, and like the performance is great. And then you get this villain in this movie.
I don't even know what Jessica Chastain's villain's name is. It's just, we don't really quite get what she wants or what her motivation is. Like, does she want revenge on this power because it destroyed their homeworld, or does she want to use it? Does she miss the homeworld? Does she not miss the homeworld? Does she just want to be the power? And then, like, does she want to be a god and create new worlds? I mean...
It's all just kind of irrelevant because it's kind of uninteresting. And
well, I think that would have made it more interesting to know all of those things, or make that the main plot instead of, like, because the movie started out with the main plot being Jean Grey's, like, emotional trauma, and then all of a sudden we forget all of that because there's this villain that we have to deal with, but we don't know anything about the villain or their motives, but we just know that they're the big bad. And then I feel like in between all of that, like, we lose, like, Magneto is kind of one of my favorite characters in all of these movies, and he's just wasted because his motivations change constantly. Does he want to kill Jean Grey for killing Mystique?
He wants to save Jean Grey, then he wants to kill her because of the Mystique thing, then he wants to save her again, and like, And
he's just the coolest character and gets wasted I feel like the parts that were coolest involved Magneto.
I mean, like the best part, there are some really good action sequences at the end of this movie, and it's just a tragedy that they were set up by such crappy writing and just poorly thought out plot.
The action in this movie is like my favorite parts. Like those are really cool parts.
Yeah, there is some really creative, just the set pieces are just fun to watch. Nightcrawler is awesome. Like he's always been one of the X-Men highlight characters, and he's really cool in this. And I mean, like Magneto does some awesome stuff. Jean Grey does some butt kicking. Like the action is there's not much to say other than it's really entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Those are my favorite parts, and I feel like it's wasted because we just don't. The plots just don't. I don't know. Maybe the plots are an excuse for the action. Is the best way I can think to put it right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really discordant. Like I
forget where we left off in explaining the plots, because after Mystique dies, then the big bat.
Yeah, I mean that. You didn't really leave off anywhere because there was nowhere to.
It's confusing.
There was no path to follow. It's just
because after she kills Mystique, then she tries to go to Magneto's land of
they're his little brotherhood area.
Yeah, but they're not a terrorist organization here. They're just
they're just mutants trying to live their lives, and the government's just leaving them alone. And then Jean Grey shows up, and the government's like, "Oh no, we got to get her."
Yeah, we need this one mutant. And then he tries to protect Jean Grey, but then Jean Grey kills people.
And he finds out what she had done, which pisses him off, and now he wants to kill her too.
Yeah, and then the X-Men come back because they're trying to find Jean Grey too, in order to protect her or save her. She doesn't need it though, because she absorbed power from space. We find that out in the end, that she could have just handled these bad dudes in the beginning. She didn't really need all of these groups of people trying to protect her. She was fine. She would have done fine. She would have taken on the aliens herself. And because basically, in the end, when Magneto is on the side of the X-Men, they're trying to protect her from the aliens that want her, and then she ends up protecting them from the aliens that want her, and then she flies into space. And lives in space.
Yeah, this movie would have been served by... I don't know if it was... Maybe...
I think they should have figured out what the main plot should be, and they should have developed the villain more.
Well, I mean, there are rumors that, because Captain Marvel was coming out roughly the same time, and they told some kind of similar stories.
Yeah, but the thing with Captain Marvel, and I get that Dark Phoenix is kind of...
it was better.
Yeah. Dark Phoenix is kind of off-brand Captain Marvel, but Captain Marvel had this whole arc about, yes, she does absorb an Infinity Stone, and I've been making fun of Jean Grey absorbing something from space. But I mean, the thing with Captain Marvel is it ends with her being I need to use all of my powers and stop fighting my powers.
It has a clear arc in the movie. The plot, everything in Captain Marvel is perfectly conceived from beginning to end. They use the annoying trope of flashbacks, but it's just so well done.
And then Captain Marvel's motives are clear. She's got a good moral ground. Jean Grey's moral ground is nothing. She killed Mystique, and she does feel bad about that, but she's also fighting that, and she's kind of justifying it at times. It seems it's very confusing. And then at the end, she just flies off into space, and you don't really see what she's doing. Her motives are more selfish than Captain Marvel's. Captain Marvel is clearly trying to save other people, and then Jean Grey is just she does want to save her friends, but also throughout the entire movie, she's been really selfish. And so there's just, in my opinion, she's been selfish. But
yeah, I mean, Captain Marvel is just, you could tell that they had a clear idea of what they wanted to do with the movie, what they wanted to say with the characters, and they executed.
I feel like with Dark Phoenix, they didn't really know all of that, and they didn't know what they wanted from Jean Grey. They just wanted to. I feel like they wanted action, and then they wrote around the action scenes.
And they wanted,
because the action scenes were the best.
They wanted to tell the famous story, but instead they just kind of slapped the story's name on it and used a little bit.
Yeah.
So, in the end,
it's a neat movie to watch. I would recommend watching it if you like action and if you like X-Men, but don't watch it if you're expecting, another Captain Marvel-esque level of...
Yeah, this movie would not have been welcome in the MCU. Even the worst of the MCU movies, the Thor 2s and the Iron Man 2s and 3s.
I don't know. This is probably about the same as maybe Thor 2. Same sort of level. And I like Thor 2. So.
But, I don't know if we really... give these movies final grades or anything?
I don't know if we're doing that. You can probably tell what we think of them just by the fact that we've been talking about these movies for an hour.
About
an hour. Yeah, look at that, an hour. I would recommend watching Dawn of the Dead if you want to be mad at people in a zombie apocalypse. It was enjoyable.
Watch Dawn of the Dead if you want to just lock in the idea that you need to stay in your house and keep to the quarantine.
Yeah, this is a very good example of why you should stay home. If you're in Ohio right now, we have a stay-at-home order, which is basically a lockdown or a shelter-in-place order. Only essential businesses and essential workers should be out and about. Or if you're taking care of family, you can be out and about. Or if you have to get supplies. But basically, just stay home. And this is a good example of why you should stay home.
Yeah.
You will survive longer. Don't have a brunch party. Don't have a Corona brunch party unless it's over Zoom.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, we would recommend watching basically any movie.
Yeah, watch movies.
Watch a bad movie and make fun of it.
Yeah, that's the best part about bad movies. Sometimes bad movies are more fun to watch than good movies.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun just to have something to talk about how bad it is.
I feel like we will end up recommending every movie that we watch on this.
I still... The thing about Dark Phoenix is even though the writing was
it still had parts to like.
Yeah, and I love Magneto. I will always love Magneto. I will always love Dr. X, especially if he's played by Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, let's face it, Patrick Stewart is...
He
Charles
wasn't in this movie, but...
Yeah, James McAvoy was the actor in Dark Phoenix.
That could be why I'm more prejudiced. I like the original X-Men movies, because that's where Patrick Stewart was, and I love him.
Yeah, if you want to watch a good X-Men movie, watch Logan.
But really, yeah, that's a good one. I feel like it would be hard to talk about a movie we loved, because we'd be like, yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Everything about this is amazing. This movie can do no wrong.
Well, for future episodes, we will, because Sam and I have very differing tastes in movies. As you know, I'm a big horror movie fan,
and I like. We did bond over comic book movies mainly and other nerdy movies, but I am a big rom-com fan. I also really love romantic movies set in various time periods.
She loves the period pieces.
Yes.
At some point when it hits home release, we'll probably do the Little Women.
Oh yeah, that's on demand right now, but I haven't finished reading the novel. Which I don't...
Oh, that was Emma.
What was the movie?
That's Emma you want to watch.
Yeah, what was the movie you said?
I mentioned Little Women.
Oh.
Because I
have read Little Women. I just had Emma on my mind. Because Jane Austen is the best.
She just wasn't paying attention. No,
I wasn't, because I was thinking about Emma. As soon as he said time period, I'm like, Emma. I will probably make him watch, if there's any other like English majors out there, I will make him watch Persuasion. And we will
I don't know what this means.
We'll talk about they'll know.
I have no idea what's in store for me there.
There's a little fall that somebody takes, and it's so cute and adorable and so dramatic.
I mean, we went to see Little Women in the theaters, and I
cried.
I am not. I'd never read the book. I was unfamiliar with the story whatsoever, and well, I enjoyed the movie.
He wanted to see it more for my sake, so he suggested it more often than I did. I was kind of hoping to avoid seeing it in theaters because I knew I would cry. Cry, and I did cry, and I was still kind of crying when we went to the restaurant afterwards.
So be the good guy husband.
The good guy husband. There was one time we saw the I Feel Pretty movie, and one of our coworkers was like, "Why are you going to see that with her?" And you were like, "Because I'm the boyfriend. It's my job."
I did make you see The Lighthouse, though, so.
Okay. Well, I thought it was gonna be artsy, and I guess it was supposed to be artsy.
So sometimes the good guy boyfriend doesn't hold up.
Well, it's fine. I got to see Frozen from that movie. That movie got me Frozen too. It was worth it.
Well, now we're just babbling at the end of the episode, though, guys.
Right. Okay, so this podcast has been the first episode of the Podcast in the Woods. I'm Sam.
And I'm Josh, and we will be back next week with two more undefined movies.
We haven't decided yet. Anyway, I'm Sam.
And I'm Josh.
And thanks for listening to the first episode of the Podcast in the Woods. We'll see you next week.